Hello and welcome back to yet another episode of Threadheads Podcast. I'm your host, Inui, and today we are joined by the one, the only. It's Witchy in the Coven, everybody.
Hey, good day.
Yeah, thanks for joining, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, by all means. I see your name a lot on Threads, so I'm stoked to have you. So we gonna get right into it.
Sounds
Your
good.
your cat is joining us too, or
He is joining us. He's trying to bump the mic to make sure everyone knows he's here.
okay, fair enough. Yeah, my
Yep.
my cat does similar things. Um, soon enough she will come with her toy and ask me to play with her.
Yeah.
uh we're gonna get right into it. So when did you actually get started with music?
So I've been playing music for a long time. I got into like the band at school in junior high, and I tried to get into playing drums or bass, and they stuck me with trumpet. So, totally similar.
Yeah,
If you're looking for something to go comparatively with drums and bass, trumpet apparently is how they deem that. But I didn't really enjoy the trumpet so much. But I kept up with the idea of like making music or playing music. And when I was about 18, I got my first bass guitar. And I've been playing bass for a long, long time. I always told my wife, like, when we move into a house, I'm buying a drum set. So I went from bass to drums when we got into here. So it's probably since about 15, 16, I've been doing music.
all right. So
Yeah.
and how long is that in total?
Oh, now I have to guess my own age. 26 years.
All right, that's nice. That's
Yeah.
really cool. uh so how many instruments do you actually play?
I will play whatever is put in front of me. Currently I have drums, melodica, piano, synths, bass, guitar, and that's about it.
Yeah, that's enough, I suppose.
Yes, I
uh
I have had violin in the past. I enjoyed that one. Flute I couldn't really play, but I did try it.
yeah, no, I
Yeah,
also try to play flute, but it's because they're tuned in different keys, right?
they are. And
Depending
I
on the
found
flute.
like here, like having any kind of facial hair
Yeah.
impaired it a bit. Like you had to get that tight squeeze against your like bottom lip. I couldn't do it.
What's there's one type of flute that is supposedly easy to play. I don't know, but it's not called flute. It's wooden. Um,
Oh yes. Is it the piccolo? No.
it's gonna bug me for the rest of the
Yep.
day. I'll live with it. So what are your main influences?
I've mostly been influenced by punk and techno. So I grew up in the 90s. So mid 90s with the whole grunge movement and everything. Then I got into like Pennywise. And so Pennywise is a huge, huge influence in like my whole writing style. Uh, Listen to a lot of him, and they also get into a lot of my writing style too. I really enjoyed the inclusion of the keyboard in with the rock sound with them, so that was a big one. Um, but yeah, when I started going to like the bar, that's when stuff like Sandstorm and all that was happening. Right, so I got into the like rave kind of scene, had the glow sticks, all that. I was decked out. So I was just going to town with that. So now when I've grown older, I started my first album with like punk sound, and then it went progressively more like electronic and then kind of chill.
No, I listened to the last album, Struggles, and I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
We're gonna talk more about that a bit later on. Um, I want to know what's your writing process like?
So most of the time I'll start with the bass because I've got like acoustic bass, so I can kind of take that anywhere with me. I'll take it outside. I'll take it just to somewhere in the city, or I'll take my iPad and start creating like a melody first. That's my kind of main goal. Start with some kind of melody, then a beat, and then mix them together and find out which one sounds good. And then I start adding instruments just on top like crazy. So like I'll come home and start recording guitar in different various forms, different basses. I'll use multiple basses in a song because they each have their own different tone. So
Yeah. So, which instrument do you put the most emphasis on?
I do the most on drums and bass because they're the main two that I am into playing and know that I'm doing the best in. Guitar, I'm not great in. I am a terrible guitar player. I can play the like main bar power chords, and that's it.
Yeah.
But it's great for if you're just playing punk, right?
Yeah. No, I feel that I have a bass, I have two guitars, a keyboard obviously, but yeah, I'm not good at any instrument. But I can make it sound good in the recording. So that's the
And
thing.
that's the thing. Yeah, with like the synth and keyboards and stuff I've learned, I can look at music online and reproduce how that kind of sounded via a MIDI much easier than I can play it. I'm a much better programmer than I am player.
Yeah, same here. I mean, all my tabs on my computer is just fucking music theory and the
Yeah.
like chords and everything. I look up chords all the time, you know,
Oh yeah.
because nothing sticks really.
Yeah.
But yeah, about the bass there. I mean, that was the first sort of proper instrument. It's the most expensive one I have as well. I have a Hofner Ignition, the Beatles bass,
Nice.
and I'm
Yeah.
left-handed, so which means I'm gonna be just as good as Paul McCartney, obviously.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize because I fell in love with the bass because
Mhm.
I almost want to say it's the most important instrument because it's percussive, melodic, and rhythmic.
It's the backbone as far as I'm concerned. When I'm starting with like the bass, usually writing music, yeah, it's the foundation of what's gonna come. So
No, if I'm writing songs, if I can come up with a good bass line, I'll trash the whole thing. I don't care.
yep.
Like it's that simple. Um, and I'm almost. I mean, you can make some pretty good, cool sounds with bass synths as well, but I just like the human element of a proper bass.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, but I just come up with like small parts, and then I just try it out until I get it right and it sounds good in the recording, and then I'm good to go.
Yep.
So I never really practice, which is my own fault, really.
I practice, but I play along with music. I don't practice theory.
Yeah,
So like I'll get my whole DAW set up and everything, and then I'll hit Spotify, and I have a couple playlists of like songs that I play along with as inspiration to help me create. So I've got some Offspring in there, some Millencolin, some him in there. So songs that I know what I'm doing in, and then I can just go from there.
yeah,
And I have
yeah,
a same set like a playlist for my drums too. So if I want to practice drums, I play that one.
yeah. Before I used to try to build bass lines on a piano, so like select the notes and is it gonna be melodic? Is it gonna be rhythmic? Or is it gonna be percussive? Usually, I prefer like a melodic bass, just something that can sort of dip in and out, and like you say, the backbone.
Yeah.
But lately I found myself to just pick up the bass and just try something out, um, which tend to work a bit better these days.
Yeah, well,
So
there's something that you get with playing the bass rather than programming it that I find that you get like a different feel to the note. You know, even if you're using a pick, if you're using like plucking, if you're slapping, each one has its own different effect that I find I can't quite get with a synth. Like it just doesn't work. But I'll use them as like additional pieces, but I still use a bass somewhere in there because like I get that feel of a human element, you know?
yeah, and also you can sort of play the same part across the neck, and it can sound good the, without concerning about the notes. Really, that's what I
Yeah.
noticed. So I don't know. I don't remember that it was famous bassists. They say I can play any note and make it sound good. There's no wrong note.
Yeah,
which
no, as
is
long as you keep it going and make it flow with the rhythm, any note that you play will work. Why
yeah,
not?
yeah,
It's a
100%.
transitional note, stuff like that. You're fine.
Yeah. And I recently learned how to play a little bit of fills, which is my favorite thing. I love fills, drum fills and bass fills. That just
Yeah.
elevates a song so much because it humanizes it, which I think is my main objective most of the time.
Yep.
Um, so you say you don't use too much theory in your music writing, is that
No,
correct?
that's correct. Yeah. I go just based on what's in my head and I start playing notes. So I'll just pluck it like an A note on the bass, like I said, and just start being like, hit notes around it. Which one do I want? This one. I
Yeah.
don't know what key I'm playing in. I don't, I've never actually understood keys, like key signature. So why start now? You know, this works so far.
Yeah, I used to be in the very beginning when I started out, I was like music theory. Oh, so it's just a theory, you know.
Yeah,
But I also consider it to be like you're locking yourself into uh, a creative box if you want that sort of limits you instead of doing it by feel and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
um, now I probably feel like it's the opposite. I love theory in these days because I'm a student of the game, so to speak.
Hmm.
So I love to learn new things. So and there's some really cool methods and relationships between all those kind of scales and notes and keys. I'm not going to bore you too much with it, but
Oh no, no worries. Like I do find it interesting. I do like it. It's just like you said earlier, it just doesn't stick. So I kind of just gave up on that, being like, okay, well, why force this? That's never gonna really kick in there when I know that I just like the creative freedom of being like this.
yeah. Plus, there's no wrong way to make music. Really, I mean, if it sounds good, it sounds good, and that's all that matters,
Exactly.
really.
Yeah.
Um. So I wanted to also touch upon how do you come up with such interesting song titles?
Oh, a lot of times I'm really like sitting like I listen to my music back and forth to work when I'm in my car. So in the winter it's great. Like I'm just constantly listening to music and things that either I pass by or things that I'm kind of doing at the time of writing the song, that's what transposes into it. So when you look at struggles there, a lot of the song titles have this feeling of like a progressive game story. And when I was originally starting to kind of work on some of these songs prior to the passing, was um, music for us playing Gloomhaven. So when you look at it, it's us progressing through a storyline that could take like 3 hours is what I was going for. I was going to build out this big thing. This event happened, and now here's what I worked on and in my grief.
Yeah,
So
I was gonna say they are, especially on struggles. They all sound like video game titles.
exactly, yeah. So that's the whole idea. Is it's a game style song. So I went with those. I took it and I try and write my song titles too in a progressive style on the album. So you'll notice that that starts at the beginning of the day basically and works its way through to the twilight of the night.
Yeah,
You know, if you're listening to it, you're working your way through the day.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, there's a red line between it, sort of.
Yeah, like you start in the very like morning, you work your way through the afternoon type thing, then you go into the evening and the dungeon and all that, and when you come out, it's nighttime.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. I really love the album. I listened to it on Thursday, I believe. But I listened through it in the whole thing in
Yeah,
one sitting. So
yeah, I'm one of those people that likes to try and design their albums to be listened to as an album. Singles is hard for me because my music is trying to tell a story in a way. So
yeah, no, 100%. And I think I think it's more respectable to listen. If someone puts out an album, I'm gonna listen to the whole thing.
Yeah,
Uh, I'm gonna do it when I have time, but I will listen to the whole thing because I mean it's like you wouldn't look at half a picture, you know.
exactly. Yeah.
You don't just look at the corner, you look at the whole thing and try to notice some details and all that kind of stuff. So, um, but what's the worst moment you ever got a song title or a song idea? Sorry,
What was the sorry?
what's the worst? What the worst moment is that you ever got a song idea? Like the most inconvenient moments.
Oh, so back in the day, we used to participate in a photo club, and there was always these banquet dinners that we would have. And I was sitting there, and just the way that like people's chairs were squeaking, I could kind of hear notes in it. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, damn it, pull out a napkin. I'm like writing down notes, being like, I'm gonna try and remember this, but there's no way I'm gonna know the melody because I didn't have a phone at the time that would record a voice memo. So I'm just like, damn it, like I basically got home, looked at this napkin, and was like, yeah, that's 16 notes in the order. Great. So it's
Yeah,
kind of sad. I've lost a few songs of that kind of situation. So that's the worst time for me to get an inspiration is when I'm like out and I have nothing to record it with.
yeah. No, I feel you. I haven't happened to me yet, but this week I've gotten four different song ideas, but just right the moment before I fall asleep.
Oh yeah.
And a few times, other times I was like, I'm too tired. But I whistle in the melody quickly on my
Mm-hmm.
phone and then leave it for the next day. Um, but yeah, I've gotten song ideas on buses, like a packed bus and stuff like that. So yeah, it's
Yeah, when you can't really do anything about it, you're like, I can't even hum it because it's gonna be like everybody drawn in and all that. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
and
nervous like that.
yeah, and I'm gonna seem like a crazy person. So yeah. Um, so I want to get into a little bit about the production.
Mm.
So when did you actually get into production?
That was only recently. I really just kind of stayed with the punk feel until 2022 ish. Around there, when I have there's an album that's just a self-titled album, and it's very kind of punk grungy, but at the end is and now for something completely different, and that's a reference to Monty Python,
Hmm.
and it's my first EDM song that I tried and released, and I was like, people are liking this, so yeah, I've totally lost track of the question.
No worries. So I know you're using Reaper.
Yes.
Um,
Oh yeah, so that's when I got into production was when I was kind of working on that. There we go. Sorry.
yeah, no, it's okay. So have you tried any other DAWs or and what made you decide?
I do use GarageBand when I'm on the go because I'll use it on my iPad. I have tried what was I have the book over there. It's old. Like I tried ones from the early 2000s and Fruity Loops. I was in that for a while. But mostly Reaper. I've been with Reaper since about 2004, 2006.
Well,
So, I've been
yeah,
using them for a while now.
yeah, I had to actually research that question a little bit. But what I found out is the cool thing that they do is like you can have it for free, but as long as you
Yeah.
want, like if you go over the 60-day trial period, no one's gonna say anything. But still, everybody pays for the license because it's so
Oh
good.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's so cheap to get for like you get a full length version. So I'm on the version 6 or version 7 license, and it's taken 9 years to get to 7.06.
Yeah,
Like it's not like huge updates. They do like 7.00 whatever. So you get these incrementals that work update, but you get a long license, and the free version, I mean, it just cuts out after 60 minutes. You just restart it, you're good. I
yeah,
used that for a long time, but the moment I started to actually release my music, I felt that I should actually do it very properly, get the proper licensing, buy the plugins I'm using rather than use them how I was, you know.
Yeah, 100%. So, do you have any favorite customization feature that Reaper offers?
I think for me, I like how versatile it is. It can it does everything I need with full like I can change the colors of my tracks and I'm happy with that. That's simple things like that make me really happy where it's just like I can organize all my drums by here's blue tracks, here's red tracks for vocals, all that. Um the various outputs that it gives you for waveforms, and so I know like how my track is going to look through an equalizer, like just like a stereo EQ when you're watching it. Like I can know that as I'm watching it render, and I love that. That to me is a good feature of this. Like I said, I've been with them for so long. I don't know really any others that have like that what they can do. So I have nothing to compare it to. Unfortunately, I'm just like, hey, no, I love this because it does everything I need.
Yes, I saw a video about especially the fact that you can customize it. Like you can go into the code and like recode it to
Yes.
your own liking, really.
Yeah, you
Uh,
can create your own extensions too. That is great. So there's a huge community that has extensions. So anything that you kind of think that you Reaper is missing, go look on the forum. It's there.
yeah,
People are like, "Oh yeah, if this is missing, I'm gonna write it in," and now you can have it in the program.
yeah. About the colorization, I mean, I use Ableton, and if I change the color of the track, also have to change the color of the clip itself, and it drives me fucking crazy.
Oh yeah, it does all of it at once type thing.
Yeah, it's such a like for a program so fantastic as Ableton, it's just such a dumb thing that they don't. The color doesn't change for the whole thing. So,
Yeah,
um, but I also know that Reaper doesn't have too many native VST instruments. So, do you use
yeah,
any? Do you use any external VSTs? Any favorites?
yeah. So I have the Native Instruments 360 Essential subscription. So they have a slew of instruments, and then you get like the whole Contact series, which I use a lot of the Alicia Keys piano. That one is my favorite. It just has such a nice, warm sound to it. I love it. Um, it's got a bunch of guitars, basses, drums. I've started using more of the drums out of it. I also use the MT Power Drum Kit for my electronic drums. What else do I use? That's pretty much it for the VSTs for just the instruments because I do use, like I said, like real guitar, real bass. If I'm gonna do that, I'll add the synth bass just as a backing to kind of warm it up,
Yeah.
and you know, I'll use that every now and then. But it's very much if I'm gonna do that, I'm doing it to GarageBand and using like the Doom Tune bass because I really like the heaviness of that. So it backs a bunch of my tracks.
Yeah, because I mean, it's there's a ton of great free VST software.
Yeah,
Um, I used to have a routine of looking up new free VSTs and then I go and produce. But lately, I've realized that there's when it comes to the free stuff, there are a handful, maybe 20 tops that are good, and there are like
yeah.
maybe five, maybe 10 that are great. But there's just like a handful I tend to come back to and use in most of my tracks or most of my projects, I should say.
Yeah, I have a limiter that is one of the free ones, and it goes on almost everything because it does such a good job of cutting the peaks out and everything. So, I mean, it's the best one I've seen, even of some of the paid limiters that I've seen out there. I love this guy; it's free. So,
Yeah, I think Ableton has some really great native VSTs. The limiter is fantastic. Loop compressor is great. Even the regular compressor is also fantastic, and they got some cool synths like wavetable and sampler and simpler.
okay.
So I'm not trying to get you to change, but
Oh no, I'm always open to it. I've just like it. That's just worked for me.
Yeah. Yeah, if it works, it works. Um, so that's nice. Do you have any favorite production tricks?
uh for me, it's like the thing that I like to do in all my productions is listen to it in at least four different mediums. So I'll always listen through these guys, and then I listen through my crappy computer speakers. And then I go, oh, actually five ways, because I'll go listen through my iPad, because the iPad is somewhat the thing that people will use out there. They'll just throw music on, and then I'll go and like put it on the surround sound system because we got to hear it full, and then I'll play it in the car, and it
Hmm.
has to sound good in every one of those instances for me to be really happy. And that's my production thing that I do. That's just my hack on it, being like I have to do these specific things.
Yeah, it's essential. It really,
Yeah.
really is essential. So how do you deal with perception paralysis?
What?
Like when if you make a track and then you come back to it and it doesn't sound the same or you're not in the same mood
Oh,
and stuff like that.
so I have a bunch of folders that I've got set up where it's just like things that are started like have just vocals, things that have an instrument, things that have multiple instruments, things that are kind of combined, and things that are starting to get ready. And I'll move songs in between those folders as they progress. So it's like, here's just like I wrote down something. You're in a notepad in this folder now. And
Yeah.
then next thing you know, it becomes like a bass line. So it moves to the next folder. So that's kind of my way of doing it. And so there's a lot of tracks that are left behind because I'll start working on something. And I'll get to like maybe here's bass and drums on it. Don't like it. New song, but it just sits there in that little halfway point folder. So I keep a lot of them around. And when I kind of get this feeling of like, man, I don't know what to do, I go back to those folders. And that's where I start pulling out what I had going in the past, and I can either fall back into that feeling and get that song going again, or I change it up. You know, maybe it goes a completely different route. Uh, Billy the Ripper is actually a great example of that. That song took me forever to actually release because I had written it. It was a great song about rioting. It was not about like Billy the Ripper. It was not this horror story type thing. It was all about riots and, all about the no justice, no peace and all that. It took me a long time to change that because I was like, I'm stuck with this. This is how it is. But at the same time, I don't feel like it's the appropriate time to release this. So I don't feel comfortable with it right now. And I held that song and I was like, it sucks because I really like it, but I can't do anything with it. And then finally I came up with Billy the Ripper vocals and it was able to come out. Now I'm actually going to be releasing as it was.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm taking out the original version and doing it again. So,
Yeah. That's nice.
and like that's the thing. I'm finally feeling that feeling of the punk in me has kind of come back up. No justice, no peace is coming back. Why not do it? So yeah, so that's how I deal with them. I just store them away until I feel like I'm ready to deal with them.
Yeah, I love that. We will take a short break and we'll be right back with Witchy in the Coven.
Sounds great.
All right, everybody, we're back with Witchy. So
Hey,
I wanted to talk about the um, album struggles. I really
yes.
enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. So I have my first question is, how did you make the piano in The Sun Will Rise Again?
A lot of that is just strictly looking online for notes, and that is probably the closest I got to theory. Is me being like, what plays well together? Because I really want something that's emotional. So I was looking for patterns and stuff that would actually draw out the sense of like almost a sad, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's how it was to me, and I wanted to convey that feeling across. So a lot of it is looking up online and then just programming the MIDI because I can't play that.
How did you mix the piano? Because it had this like underwater kind of feel to it, which I really, really enjoyed.
So one of the plugins I use is Room, RAUM through Native Instruments, and it provides a really good like warm feeling that I can get with some of them. So I mix my bass and my lows and my highs separately. So I recorded like the high parts, did all that stuff, programmed it all out, and then I would go back in and do like the bass notes on a completely different track. So they all have their own like minor differences. They're a lot. Uh, they have most of the same effects, but slightly different, so that they have that feel of just open, like you said, underwater kind of like feel to it. It's background, but still in the foreground.
Yeah, no, that's probably my favorite off the record. It was, and it's track number one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Or
was
no, which one is it?
The Sun Will Rise Again.
Two, two, I think, because I think number one is It Begins.
Yeah, yeah, true, true. So what's the story behind The Sun Will Rise Again?
That was the morning after. I was really just I was sitting there. I had nothing going through my mind except for like it's a new day. Life is continuing for me, and this is just what I gotta get used to. And so that's where I kind of came from. I was just sitting there, and I started getting this melody in my brain. I once again picked up my bass, started playing out. I had the key notes through my bass. And then I came down and I started just messing around the piano. And so I'd find what I wanted, and then I started working off that by going online, finding all the right chords that went along with it. So I got a full chord instead of just single note. Go from there.
How long did it take to write the album?
3 weeks or so.
Yeah.
I mean, it was one of those things where once I finished a song, I didn't really touch it again. It was done. I was happy with it, and it conveyed what I wanted. And I
Yeah.
walked away from it. I went right on to the next one and just kept doing my thing because I wanted to feel like I actually accomplished something. Like I was actually doing something because there was about a week there where I did very little. So getting these things in order where I was just finishing a song and feeling comfortable with it and being able to listen to it and go, I'm proud of that. Then that was good for me, you know?
You have to teach me how to do that.
Oh, it's hard because I mean, there's a lot of times, like I said, where I'll start a song, I'll just drop the file. It just sits in that folder. So I mean, I there's a lot of songs I don't feel happy about, but I work through, and if I'm purposeful and I want to finish an album, I'll finish it because I need to for my own comfort and my own goal of you finished it on time, you did your goal. Yeah, you.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I mean, I'm trying to hold myself accountable now and write an EP, at least 3 songs, 4 songs. Um, because no joke, I have 2 songs out. I have north of 50 unfinished projects.
Yeah.
It just sits there, you know.
Yep.
Might be even closer to 100. And it's I don't know. The thing that really fucks with me is like you vibing with something in that moment, and yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's missing something. It's missing something. And then next time you revisit it, it's just not the same thing, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I hate that feeling of like you're amped about a song one night. You don't get to listen to it for like maybe 3 or 4 nights, and you come back to it and you're like, oh yeah, this thing. I was totally working on it. You play it and you're like, this sounds terrible. what was I thinking? What was going through my mind when I record this? And it's a it's really hard for me not to delete that file sometimes. you know?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. It's like I don't know why I save all these old tracks because I think I will this one time go back to them. It's like, oh, I can fit this into a new song, and
Yeah.
I even have a full track of with string arrangement and like bass and guitar and keys and drums and all that kind of stuff. I just haven't recorded any proper vocals.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple of those, probably even no, I have 5, 6 of those. But especially the latest one I worked on with because I looked up how to make a proper string arrangement with like the BBC Symphony Orchestra,
Yeah.
fucking VST, and it sounds great. But then you also, I'm not a maestro, not a classically trained musician, so you also have to divide all the instruments into like an orchestra to make it feel like an orchestra.
Yeah, I guess. Hey,
So
wow.
so the cello plays one thing, then you have two sets of violins. So do you have individual violins, on different tracks, or do you put like because it can only play one note at a time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and I like to use 7 chords. And so I'm not sure whether to put them in like in the same MIDI file or whatever, but then again, they also sit right next to each other, so you wouldn't be able to tell. It's stuff like
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? It's like really overthinking shit. But
Oh yeah, no, but I get it. I've been there. I've kind of worked on stuff like that, not to that extent because I never even thought about that. I'm dumb when it comes to my string sections. I'm like, you're all this one group. You sit in the middle. You're centered. Enjoy,
yeah,
man. That's wow.
I pan everything because I like width and I try to do it. I try to make everything sound very real, like it's an actual band, it's an actual orchestra and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Because
Well, that's the thing. I'm not good with the orchestra. I didn't. I'm terrible with string section. I don't even think about why I do that. But like my drums, I'll split those out into separate tracks. So like even my electronics, they go down to like snare gets kind of a left feel to it because that's where you're hitting it on the. If you're listening to it, that's where it would be. Like I
yeah,
get my cymbals left, right, all that because I want that feel of alive. And my guitar and my guitars because I'll do rhythm and leads, they get split kind of between left and right a bit. So you get that wide feel of the guitars. The bass kind of stays center
yeah,
for me.
yeah. No, 100%. No, it's the first time I tried out like a string section. The track was ready, but it was like it's missing something. Should I put different
Mm-hmm.
effects? Like it became a bit loopy. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's do something different. Let's try something new. And when I saw that they had the BBC Symphony Orchestra strings for free, I was like,
Yeah.
I'm fucking making a string arrangement for this bitch. So by making a string arrangement, I mean I probably postponed the release by fucking 2 years or something because it's
yeah.
just it's just how it is. But yeah, it just adds such a nice emotion and it sort of fit the emotion of the song. So and then it sort of builds into sort of a bluesy, jazzy kind of thing. Um, I'm kind of excited about the song, but I haven't revisited for maybe 2 weeks, and
Yeah.
because I'm also scared to of what I'm gonna think when I revisit it. So it's yeah, it is what it
Well,
is.
one of the things I've started to do is I've like working with people like Mainframe and Spectre and Snow and that. Like I've taken a bunch of my old tracks where I felt like it was missing something, and I'll send it to them. I'm like, Mainframe, like my guitar on this is just not full. Like it just sounds like it's very basic. It's a very simple song. What can you add? And he's just like, yeah, I can do guitar. Done.
Yeah,
So I mean, that's been working out great for me. Obviously, with this new stuff that's been coming out, these rewritten old spells, like their their input and their help in making these songs actually what I've always dreamed them to be, like the full intention of the songs, but I've just never been able to realize it because like I'm not a great singer. So great when it comes to punk because yeah, that works. but not great when it comes to really melodic stuff. But now I through threads, there's people that are willing to help and do that stuff. I've been taking a lot of my old tracks and just being like, how do you feel about this one? I just I haven't come back to it, but what do you want to do with it? It's been fun that way. It's been really helping me get through a bunch of my old catalog and get them released new.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
100%. That's very interesting because no, I was just gonna ask you a little bit about collaboration, especially Loudpack,
Mm-hmm.
since you're the pioneer of Loudpack, which is a fantastic idea.
Oh, it's
So
just great. I love the fact of helping others and bringing like a spotlight to the indie artists because we need it. We really do.
definitely, um, yeah, I was really excited to when I first heard about it, and I think I've had it on the pod. If, at least we've spoken about it on the pod before. So
Yeah. They've
yeah,
had multiple Loud Pack members, so we are vocal
yeah,
about it.
yeah. I know. I had almost yeah, multiple mainframe, Spectre, Big Snow,
Yeah, I think
yourself.
you're just missing Sweet for the main five.
Yeah, no, I will have him on as well. Um, so what's your best advice for collaborations?
Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Like when I joined Threads, I'd never done a collaboration before. I had left a situation where I was in a band and it went sour, and I didn't like that. I was not sure how I was going to feel opening up and being like, I'm going to put my music out there and ask somebody, do you like this? A, and B, do you like this enough to do something with it? Can you see something in it that you're like, it draws creative juices in you, you work on it, and you're like, yeah, I got something. That to me is scary. Like just putting that out there, absolutely terrifying. And the first few times I asked people to do collabs, I was terrified. The whole Loud Pack first one, that one, I was like, what do we do now? Because like they said, yeah, let's do a song, and I'm like, okay, but how? What do we do? Because I didn't even have a track at that point. I didn't even think to go back and look at my old stuff. I just asked them, hey, do you want to do this? And yeah, so then we figured out BPM. I went to town on a melody and stuff and sent it in. I was like, how do you guys feel about this? We worked it out. And I was really, it was really crazy that it went so well. And if I hadn't put myself out there, if I hadn't just tried, it would have never gotten to this point where I have people being like, yo, I'd like to work with you. That to me is something I never thought I'd hear. I never thought somebody would want to actually come to me and say, can we do a song together? So putting myself out there got that to go on. So I would recommend that to everybody. Just it's scary, it's hard. Put yourself out there.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at right now. Um, I'm really supportive of the Loudpack idea, and it's a great idea, especially for our community. But I never collaborated with anyone because of that fear,
Mm-hmm.
because of those things, exactly those things you mentioned. Because either I won't con contribute as much as I want, or you know, I'm afraid like my sometimes crippling self-criticism sort of
Yes.
will sort of bleed into the progression of finishing that track. And I'm also slow as shit when it comes to making music. And plus I feel like I feel like a lot of people on Threads has been doing music way longer than I have. So which means they're also on a different level than I am. Which is something I also want to be respectful of, and not, you know, start something with someone that we don't finish, because I don't want to waste anyone's time either, you know.
Yeah.
Um, or I would just, or I will contribute minimally, like, you know, put a, like a tambourine on someone's beat, and oh hey, it's a collaboration, you know. But
But honestly, if it adds to it, if it makes it feels like there's something else to it that was missing,
yeah,
you've done great to it, you know? Like that's how I see it. The smallest contribution can mean the biggest thing to a song.
Yeah. No,
You know, I mean,
yeah, the only thing I can imagine is maybe I would bring in someone that is really good at guitar if I want to make like a really guitar driven song.
yep,
Because right now I only use um, like I wouldn't say I'm a bass player. I wouldn't say I'm definitely not a guitar player. I'm definitely not a keyboard player by any stretch of the imagination. For me, it's just production tools. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Like I'm a recording artist.
yes, that's
Because
how
I'm
I see myself.
Yeah, because I only need to get it right once, and that's it. I'm keeping
Yep.
it. So, but the same way, it's a fantastic that we are able to make music with limited ability in a sense, you
Hmm.
know.
Well, like the whole getting it out there and like the fear of rejection, basically with the collaborations, it's something where I found the skill levels in threads. They allow for that to be feasible. A lot of the people here are great, right? So even if you are completely different in like years of putting out music, we've all been at the beginning. We all know what it's like. I mean, I'm working with people who've been putting out music for 6 months, and they're getting just phenomenal listens. Whereas I've been putting out music for 4 years, and like I get maybe like an eighth of their listens. I'm like, yay!
Yeah,
I was not expecting people who had great amounts of listens to want to work with me, somebody who has had music out for so long and still has such a small following. That worried me. So,
yeah. The math isn't very logical in when it comes to music and indie music, especially. You know, you have some people that are absolutely super awesome, like talented and skilled
yep,
musicians, but just doesn't get the traction it deserves. And then you can have some 16-year-old kid in fuck knows when put out
yep.
like just a few beats and it just goes crazy, you know.
The amount of times that we're driving and listening to music and like I hear lyrics and songs and I'm just thinking to myself, I put way too much effort into my lyrics. I could just say Gucci like 100 times.
Yeah.
I mean, that works apparently,
Or
but I'm just like, why am I putting so much work into these things when you don't need to? But no, it's just for me. And it's something that I feel like I need to do. But where's that talent being recognized, you know?
yeah, it's crazy, especially if you look at Spotify top 10 like stream songs, it's like it's usually the same fucking beat throughout the whole song.
Yep.
Um it's top class vocal production, not absolutely, you know, but there's like some shit doesn't even have a B section, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's madness. I mean, it's
Oh, there's like four Backstreet Boys songs that uses the exact same beat.
yeah.
Like they don't even change it. They don't even add anything. They're just like same beat. Here we go. We're just gonna sing differently over top, and that apparently worked. I'm like,
I'm
why?
I'm pretty sure there are at least four songs on that top 10 that has the same fucking beat as well,
Yep.
right as we speak, you know.
Yeah. Exactly.
Um, so yeah, that's it's funny, but
Like I try to always distinguish myself because I never want to have the same beat throughout all my songs. That feels
yeah,
wrong.
yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I think I have the same beat on my two songs.
I
But
mean, I'm not gonna say it's like bad. Like it's just something that I'm not doing.
yeah, no, that's due to my limited ability.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, it's you can make it work if you if you create it with the other stuff. So
Yeah.
even though I have the same beat, I still have a B section and like a chorus thing and stuff like that, you know.
Well, and that's the
And
thing. Like you can still have it and then change it up or add to it to make it different. Like you
yeah,
can add different instruments on top of it, and that's a completely different thing. If you're just
yeah,
doing beat and vocals and that's it, it's hard to
yeah,
hide that.
no, 100%. And I always try to humanize my drums as much as possible, you know, with little fills, you know,
Mhm.
to mix it up in that sense, you know, but it still might be the same uh four by four beat, you know, but
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, everybody uses the four before.
yeah. But then also, you know, change the velocities, you know, and not keep it smacked on the grid. It's because that ruins it right away.
Mm-hmm. I'm
Um,
terrible for that, to be honest with you. Like, I try to, I try now more to get my velocities changed. When I first started doing EDM, I apologize for everybody on that because I was just like 100% hit every time. It took a while to learn how to use the velocities to make it sound more human because that was something I didn't even think about.
yeah, but I think that's sorry. I think that's one of the genres it actually works for. I mean, it's to keep it 100% on the grid, so every beat is the
Yeah.
approximately the same. So it depends obviously from genre to genre. So I want to get your opinion on releasing singles versus releasing albums. What's your take?
So for me, releasing singles or EPs is my way of testing the waters. So if I feel like I have an idea of an album in mind, if I have a bunch of songs going through my head where I'm like, these could all work in this specific style of album, but it's that style of album. How's that going to be perceived? I'll use the singles, I'll use EPs to see how that's going to play out. Are people going to enjoy it? Does it get any listens or is it bad? And I shouldn't really judge how I make music on that. But at the same time, I am in the business of pleasing people, you know? Like my goal as an artist is to have my music appreciated. So I don't want to put out something that people are just like, holy cow. Like I'm not even going to listen to this at all unless I'm really passionate about it. And so there's a bunch of songs that have come out that, you know, strictly based on the fact that the EP before, such as like Oasis, uh, you know, the Witch House did fairly well on that. You look at the next album, it's kind of more that style. you know, I just kind of went off that where I'm like, I'm willing to do albums based on these three styles or this single. How does it feel? And yeah, there have been times where I just go, I don't care. It didn't get any listens, but I liked it. So here it is.
Yeah, I understand 100%. I mean, it's that's the only benefit I have to myself. I really don't care what people think. I care mostly about my own opinion because I'm very self-critical, and I sort of have to be. It just comes with my nature, I think.
oh, yeah.
But that also means I'm pretty proud of the two songs I put out. Um, I probably wouldn't go back and listen to them now today, but I'm proud of what I achieved with my ability at the time
Hmm.
because I'm always at the absolute stretch of my ability every time I make a song. I
Yeah.
always try to push myself a little bit, to try new things and do a song that I really enjoy that I think I would listen to, you know,
Yeah.
and sort of make it as to my personal taste as much as possible. Because if you listen to all our favorite music it's their taste,
Yeah.
you know. Taste is what comes first, in my opinion. Taste is what matters. The rest is
Yeah.
secondary.
Well, and you do have to enjoy your own music to put it out there. Like that's one of those things I found. Like if you listen through my albums, open the door, really passionate. Uh, Witchy in the Coven, really passionate. Nightmares, passionate. Starting from scratch, I focus too much on the stats.
Yeah.
That is a stat album, and I feel bad for that album. And then everything after that went back to passion because I realized I'm focusing too much on what other people think of my music to enjoy it myself. So of all my albums, that's the only one that I like. I'll only listen to a handful of tracks from because there's the ones that I was like, yeah, really love this. Everything else, I'm like, damn, I phoned it in. That's my bad.
Yeah, admittedly, I sometimes when I'm on threads and I see people release new music all the time, Mainframe puts out a song every fucking day, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've noticed, it can be a bit discouraging to go in there too much, at least for myself, and see new music coming out, and it should be encouraging, really.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. So it's not often I have time to listen to everything. Sometimes I actually just
There's
go
a
to,
lot that comes out in a week, really.
yeah, it's madness, really. So sometimes I just go on my Spotify, pick one out, I'm gonna listen to stuff now.
Yeah,
And I found that to be a bit more easy for myself.
yeah, yeah. I've been promoting the Release Radar Fridays a lot more because that's where I get most of my listening done now because there's so much. I agree. Like, but at the same time, that's one of the things I find about being an independent artist. That's the bonus. When you're on a record label, you're like, you get one record per year and you got to go on tour. We're independent. We can do whatever we want. If I want to put a song tomorrow and then put a song 3 weeks from now and put an album like a month from now, cool. You know, there's nobody telling me no. And that's why I feel open to putting out music so often. It's just because I'm like, there's no one that can tell me don't.
Yeah, no, I agree. And what I notice is it's the thing I enjoy about music is making it. Everything
Hmm?
else, it's okay. You know,
Yeah.
it's all
Oh
right.
yeah.
It's especially the promotion part is just it's dreadful.
Oh, I'm terrible at promoting my own stuff. Great at promoting others because I want others to succeed more than I care about my own.
Yeah, no, I don't have a problem with other people promoting this stuff. It's like great, yeah,
Hmm.
let's give it a go, and I think it's the right thing to do by all means. But when it comes to myself, the podcast I can promote because it's not solely about myself. It's more of a group thing in my opinion.
Hmm.
So, but sort of have to get more comfortable with promoting my own stuff eventually when I release more.
Oh man, I've been loving what you have out.
Yeah,
Like
thank you.
uh, I have a bunch of playlists where I've just kind of been gathering things, and yeah, I think both tracks are on my playlist there. So yeah,
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, but it's a lot of fun with music. Um, it's just nothing else really compares.
Oh yeah, there's complete freedom to do whatever you want. There's no mistakes in music as far as I can tell, as long as you're not like, don't be hateful.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
that's a
that's
mistake in music, but otherwise, there's no mistakes.
exactly. I mean, that's why I love Threads. It's just supportive all the
It's
time.
so positive. I love
And
that.
yeah, and you're one of the big ones, the big supporters there. So that's something you should have a ton of credit for. So
Thank you. But it just to me, seeing other people achieve that like joy of, holy cow, my song is being listened to by this many people. That's incredible. I know the first time I saw my music kind of getting listened to, even at all, I was like, this is the best feeling in the world. And I want people to have that. I want people to feel that as much as possible because it's so good to just have people appreciate what you do.
and it feels good as well to actually share someone else's music. It's like it just feels good to give that kind of thing. To give that little.
Oh yeah. I mean, you
It's
want, like, to me, I want to make sure that everybody has the same amount of exposure. Like I said, we deserve a spotlight. We've been working hard. All these independent artists have done such incredible music, and you never see it, like never hear it on the radio, and that's a shame.
No,
We
absolutely.
deserve that because it's a like there's so many people out there who have put out such great talented music, and it needs to be heard. So I'm all about tell people about everybody's music that's good. If you hear something and you're like, I like this, shout it out. Make sure people know because they deserve that, like that spotlight for that moment. They deserve it.
Yeah,
So
that's the reason I even started the pod. Because I
yeah,
wanted people to be able to tell a story. And I'm genuinely super interested in people's music journey. And
yeah,
especially when such a wholesome community there. So and yeah, I want to give something back, kind of thing. And I also think it's a nice way to get to know someone like this rather than just reading text all day. You know.
yep, yeah. You get the more human. There's like tones and everything. You actually get mannerism, not just words.
Yeah, because I mean I don't know how you are, but when I know someone and they send me a text, I read it with their voice in my head. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? It's
yeah.
so
It's them talking when you read it.
yeah, 100%. So
Yeah,
so now I always read the mainframes threads in his voice, you know.
yep, yep,
Uh,
yep.
so I think he has been mentioned every episode.
Well, I mean, first guest, he has that honor, you know.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. It's no, we had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Um,
No,
it's
like that's a milestone episode for you as far as I'm concerned. That's amazing. You get that first one out. Like, nah, I
yeah,
love that. I've been watching them all because they're so good. But like that first one, there's something raw about where you're just like, it's so first one.
yeah,
I
no, I
love
know.
that episode.
Yeah, I'm starting to find my voice a bit more now, so getting more comfortable in the chair,
Yep.
and my editing skill is increasing too.
The
So,
editing is what takes it. Like that's
but
when you get good at editing, you can almost like write out any wrong that happened in the interview.
yeah, and it's I don't edit out too much stuff, but um, it's like learning a new dog or learning
Mm-hmm.
production once again. You know, the first mainframe episode took me fucking 4 days to get right. Now it
Mm-hmm.
takes me maybe 3 hours to
Yeah.
fix an episode. So
What do you use for your video editing?
I use CapCut.
Okay.
It's a free software.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was the best one I could find, you know, because all those After Effects. I mean, this CapCut suited my needs, so I'm really happy with this. Um,
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. I've messed around with it a bit.
yeah, even the free version is really great. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm tempted to get the pro version, but we'll see when that happens. Maybe in 25 episodes or so. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's I do enjoy some limitations, but I don't feel I have any limitations in that program. So but yeah, it's something I really started to enjoy. Um, so now I have two different creative avenues where I can get some energy from and really.
Yeah, I've done a bit of the video editing because I used to do live streaming games and stuff, and every now and then you can live stream, so I'd record and do all that. And there was a period there where that was what I was trying to do, is just record games, do the thing, do the editing. There's one series of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 where I have on the side like a full bar of like the objectives, and as I'm completing them, they like pop up and do things. I was like, this is the most work I've done editing a video ever. I got through like maybe 4 levels. I'm like, I am fucking sick of this.
Yeah,
It's so much work.
yeah, it can be tedious, but that's why I love Zoom because it's sort of I don't have to control every cut because when I talk, it cuts to me. When you talk, it cuts to you. So
Yes.
it's just a bit of the things around. Um, you know the sound effects and all those little slides and text stuff. So,
Yep.
but yeah, Witchy, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
It's been
Um,
great, man.
yeah, I had a lot of fun. It was cool to get your insight and cool to talk a bit about Loudpack and really cool to get to know you a bit better.
Yeah. No, I really enjoyed this. This was a good time. I've been nervous but looking forward to it because man, I'm never the one getting interviewed. This is the first one. I'm so like
Yeah, no, that's my goal. It's to be the first interview. So when someone gets really famous and someone becomes a really big fan of them, they're gonna come back and see my fucking face and who's this guy interviewing? And
Oh yeah, no. Well,
yeah,
that's the thing. Should something ever happen, I am definitely pumping out your podcast. I'm being like, hey, go look
yeah,
at this. This is amazing. Yeah.
yeah. You definitely have the chance next week when the episode drops. So
I'm looking forward to that. That'll be a good time. I'm sadly one of those people that will watch my episode many times.
oh no, you should 100%. I don't blame you whatsoever. Uh, I watch them in editing, so I kind of get enough.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
so, but yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Check out Witchy and the Covenant's album Struggles. This has been the Threadless Podcast. I'm Sinui. That's Witchy. Thank you so
See
much,
you
Witchy.
later.